We need to begin to obey the Constitution again. We at one time limited the growth of our government by our Constitution. There are certain enumerated powers in the Constitution. That's all the federal government's supposed to be doing. Primary among those is national defense. But many of the other things they shouldn't be doing. Recently, there's been this big debate about health care, and in that debate, they've asked Nancy Pelosi, well, where do you get the constitutional justification for this? Her eyes get big like a deer in the headlights, and she says, well, as if she's never heard the question. And she finally responds by saying, the Commerce Clause. Well, the Commerce Clause, beginning in the 1930s, when FDR had taken over, became very expansive. In about 1936, we began to believe that the Commerce Clause meant that the federal government could do anything we wanted, or what that they wanted, that the power was limitless, or was limited only by getting a majority. There's a famous case in 1942, and Barry Goldwater uses it in his book, The Conscience of the Conservative, and it's called Wickard v. Filburn. And in that, a farmer out in California wanted to grow 20 acres of grain. The federal government says, no, you can only grow 10 acres of grain. He said, well, by golly, it's my land, I'll do what I want. So he did, but they took him to court. It went all the way to the Supreme Court, and they ruled, and he consumed all the grain with his livestock. He didn't sell it. But the ruling was, by not selling his grain, he indirectly affected the price of interstate commerce. Therefore, the federal government had the right to come in to his farm and tell him how much he could grow. That was the beginning of big government. The 1930s and 40s, we allowed these things to happen. So it's not just Obama. Obama's making it worse. Don't get me wrong, I think he's made it a lot worse. But it's been 60 years of this, of allowing government to get out of control. We're challenging now around the country the Commerce Clause, or this expansive definition of the Commerce Clause. In Montana, they're manufacturing a gun made entirely in Montana, and they're defying the federal government to come in and tell them they can't, or tell them that they have to obey federal firearms laws because it's completely made in Montana. Tennessee's doing the same thing. These are things that are big, that we should pursue in a legal fashion. I'm not talking about going to war with the federal government. I'm talking about in a legal fashion through the courts, but we need to stand up for our individual rights and for our states' rights. The 10th Amendment's important. We've been forgetting about the 10th Amendment for a long time.